Good morning, welcome to Fundamental Mathematics. Today we're talking about 7.5. 7.5 is looking at area and perimeter, and in retrospect for circle, circumference, and area all together, but as word problems. So this is going to be typically given as a sentence rather than a diagram, although a diagram would be applied as well. But you're just given some information that's written a little differently. You need to figure out what shape you are trying to solve for, and then apply that using one of the formulas on your sheet or from your notes. So here's what this looks like. Go ahead and clear out our circles from last time. Let's say I have a problem like Gardner needs to cover a rectangular pen with straw. Pen measures. The pen measures 120 feet by 20 feet. What is the total area the straw must cover? So a lot of filler in word problems like this, meaning there's a lot of, expose, but the important part is what shape is it and what are my dimensions, right? So we go through this, yada, yada, yada. Okay, we have a rectangle. And what are my dimensions? 120 by 20 feet. Now, it doesn't specifically say the length is 120 and the width is 20, or the length is 20 and the width is 120. That doesn't matter because remember, multiplication is always commutative. 4 times 3 is the same as 3 times 4. So to find the area here, now that I know that it's a rectangle, I'm using the area formula for a rectangle, length times width. And you can draw a diagram if it helps. But I'd be doing 120 times 20, which gives me 240. And because this is area, it'd be 240 feet squared or 240 square feet. Now, you guys are going to be doing this as multiple choice, so of course this is irrelevant, but if it was a free response, remember, anytime you're given a word problem, you want to answer in words. You want to have a complete sentence. It doesn't need to be a long sentence, but just a complete one, something like the straw must cover 240 square feet. That's all you got to put. It doesn't need to be a long sentence. Okay. Let's look at another example. A circular wall is being constructed around a city with a diameter of 12 miles. What is the total distance of the wall around the city? So here I'm using in a little more common vernacular, not using my academic vocabulary. Total distance around the city. Okay, I'm talking about around the city. I'm talking about a circle. That means I'm looking for circumference. Remember, there are two formulas for circumference. We had either 2 pi r or pi times diameter. Okay. Now, in 7.3 and 7.4, I said typically we want to leave this in terms of pi, which is totally fine. You can do that. But if we're talking about a physical distance or if we're doing a word problem, usually we'll go ahead and round that as 3.14. But again, just depends on the directions. If this was an open worded problem and it didn't say, then it's up to you. Leave it in terms of pi, use 3.14. If it doesn't specify, then you should be in the clear. But here, I have pi times diameter, so pi times 12. There's nothing to calculate here. This is just 12 pi miles. But let's say we wanted to use 3.4 just to play devil's advocate here. We could do 12 times 3.14, which would give us 37.68 approximately. Again, using 3.14 as our approximation for pi. And then as a complete sentence, I would type out the wall is 30, or approximately, the wall is approximately 37.64 miles. Something like that. Okay. Number 3, a square park is constructing a new sidewalk around the perimeter. Each side of the park measures 400 feet. How long will the sidewalk be? Again, just a lot of filler. We're looking for what shape is it and what formula do I need? Okay, this is perimeter. This is a square park. Remember, with perimeter formulas, you can memorize them or you can look at your formula sheet. Otherwise, you just know that you're adding up all the sides in a square. All the sides are the same. So 400 plus 400 plus 400 plus 400 gives me 1600. So the sidewalk will be 1600 feet. Not a long sentence, but a complete one. And let's do one more. A circular garden is covered in fresh soil. Circular garden has a radius of 6 feet. How much space is being covered with the soil? Round to the nearest, let's say 10. Again, for me, you can leave it in terms of pi, but sometimes you'll see answers or questions that are written like this, okay? So first I'm going to start out, I'm just going to solve the problem. I'm looking for area because I'm asking for how much space. Area of a circle is pi r squared. Plugging in the radius, pi times 6 squared. That gives me 36 pi. Specifically, it's asking me to round to the nearest tenth. So my first step would be to use the pi key on my calculator, or 3.14 as an approximation. That gives me approximately 113.04 square feet. And then it's asking me to round to the nearest tenth. So I'd be rounding to this decimal place. 4 obviously is less than 5, so I would just leave the 0. So my answer, the soil will cover approximately 113.0 square feet, or feet squared. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.